jumping
Okay.
all the time.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Metaphysical Insights. I This is a very special edition. It's not our usual day, time, or anything else, but I have two special guests, John Blackburn and Stephen Griffiths. And John has been working with the Angry Man and an entity called David for at least 10 years, longer than that, I think. And Stephen has been part of this journey and has come up with some really new and fresh ideas. We You can go over hours and hours of interview with John about the Angry Man and about David and about the whole piece. And I've worked with him some in the past myself. Um, so, but what we're going to do, I think, to start is just a quick introduction of the painting, the original painting, the process of David getting transferred, coming in with the new painting, and then we can start going into Stephen's really fascinating ideas with this. Does that sound reasonable, everybody?
It
Yes,
does,
so
yeah.
I mean,
Okay. And so, and for anybody who listens or watches live, um, please feel free to leave comments in the comment place. Um, we are very always grateful and open for those. And let's see, with me at the controls, you never know what you're going to get tech wise, so just apologize in advance. Um, Feel free to share this with people. Um, as I'm not finding the links to do that right now. But great. John, let's start with you, and please introduce us to the paintings, and the man behind them.
Yeah. Okay. Originally, I mean, I could talk about this for hours and hours, so I'm just going to make it really short, really. And a gentleman called Sean Robinson, who owns the Irishman painting, he got in touch with me, well, about 10 years ago now. It could be even longer. And the interesting thing was that when he sent me the email, he actually said he sent it to the wrong person. And
Oh,
it was just very, very strange, really, because it kind of ended up with the right person, if that makes sense,
right.
because I was interested. And Sean said to me, he said that he wanted to know more about the painting. He showed me some amazing videos um, of what the painting could achieve, and it's just a weird thing, really, a powerful painting. Um, um, Sean locked it off in his bedroom with a locked off camera,
Uh-huh.
and I always remember one of the strangest ones was like you could see a figure rushing past the camera itself. And a lot of people said it was a fraud, but I worked with painting for 3.5 years, and
Right.
everything that Sean said, there was no way that Sean was a fraud because I've seen some amazing things, and so has Steve and
yes.
Steve's team. In fact, Steve's team videoed what the painting is capable of. So originally, I thought I'd be working with the painting for about 2 weeks, but like I said, it ended for about 3.5 years. And in that time, I got so connected to the painting that I was telling Steve today, I was so obsessed in it. And the strange thing is, when I think about it and I think back, when I spoke to Sean over the years, Sean had a obsession with it,
Hmm.
and it's one of those things that just makes you obsessed in it, if that makes sense,
Hmm.
because of the power of it, because of what it can achieve and what it can do. You just if you if you've got that mind, you just want to work with it all the time. So it came to the point where the painting had to go back to Sean, and when it went back, it was kind of like me going into state of mourning, really. It was like I've lost somebody, and I wasn't interested in anything whatsoever. And in that time as well, mention your name, somebody called me a fraud, and he said he had proof that yeah, that was a fraud. So I put on Facebook and I said, well, just whatever you feel that you've got on me, then just show it.
Hmm.
So it never happened. But the guy who called me a fraud, when Sean took the painting back, he then tried to work with it, which was quite interesting, really.
Uh-huh.
But there was no way that he could have achieved anything because it took me 12 months just to get to know the painting and what the painting was about,
Hmm.
and the name came of David.
Right.
And I kept on getting that information all the time, David. When I spoke to the painting, it used to shake, quite often shake for a reply of no. And it stood on the easel, and it lift up the left leg of the easel for yes. So I kind of got information that I needed from that yes and no scenario.
Right.
Um, and then I wasn't really interested in doing anything for like months and months and months. And my partner Maxine in the end said to me, she said, "Look, John," she said, "you need to sort yourself out. You're just not being you anymore." She said, "You need to get your head straight and just get back in the game again." And that's what I did, really. And I set up this event, which was in London, a place called the Manor House. And a good friend of mine called Bill, and he had a spirit board. Now I don't use spirit boards, I never have, because some people like them and some people don't. And when you work in events,
Right.
you can upset people by using them. And it's not a thing I use because every every man and his dog these days seem to use spirit boards. So I went to bed that night about 2 o'clock because I was driving back to Manchester. I was doing all the driving as well as doing the event. And then Maxine, Bill Smith, his wife Cheryl, um, and another lady, and Bill's wife, they all stayed up and went on the spirit board. And as soon as he put the finger on the planchette, it spelt out DAVID. And he actually spelt out, and all the people who were present on that night around the table witnessed it. And it spelt out that he missed me and wanted to work with me still. So it got to that point where I thought to myself, you know what, I'm not going to be a called a fraud. I'm going to do something about it, really. And I decided to paint a painting, which I painted it the way I felt it should be.
Right.
And when I painted it, because the Englishman was painted in blood,
Hmm.
I thought to myself, well, if I mix my hair in it, if I cut my hair fine and mixed it in with the paint, then that's a stronger form of DNA, isn't it?
Right.
Because I should imagine blood over time would lose a bit of its DNA, I guess, where hair would be stronger. And because I knew all the energy points of the painting, I mirrored the energy points of where I knew they were on the painting that I painted by copper plates at the back of the painting, and also around the frame of the painting, I framed it in copper as well. And lo and behold, the pages started to move again and interact. And the way I worked with the new painting, the one that I painted, it needed the same, what's the word I'm looking for? It needed the same discipline in using the new painting as it did with the old painting. With the old painting, if you worked with it one time a month, just something small happened, nothing special.
Right.
If you worked with it 3 times a month, it was absolutely amazing. And this is the same with the paints that I painted. You've got to work with it, and then it gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and it feeds off that energy all the time.
Right.
The I still have every now and again. I still have dreams about the painting.
Hmm.
When I was working with the original Englishman painting, the dreams I had were just absolutely bizarre. They were so real. Quite often they were about World War II, Germany.
Hmm.
One in particular was, although it didn't look like a concentration camp, but you knew it was.
Right.
And the actual dream, the one that stands out and the one that was the most weird, was I always remember in the dream there was somebody in front of me, and there was queues of people behind me, and it was all in a tunnel. And then to the right, there was three German soldiers with the German helmets on, and they were like massive. They were big figures looking down at us. And in front of us was this big arena, like a Roman gladiators arena, that type of thing.
Right.
And the person in front of me, he was a young boy, and I could see him in the dust in this arena, and he was being kicked and punched, and he was in like a fetal position. He's like trying to protect himself. And the strange thing is that he couldn't see who was doing it, and I knew that I was next. And then the dream ended, really. And the other dreams I had were just so bizarre, but just equally bizarre, really. But every now and again, even now, I have the odd dream, but it's not as much as I used to have.
Right.
And that's basically where we are
Yeah.
up to date now.
And the original Anguish man was painted in blood by somebody who had been in Auschwitz. Is that
That's
correct?
correct, yeah.
And he had actually then he had survived.
I believe he did.
Yeah, and then later he made the painting in his blood and then committed suicide, if my memory is right. Is that
That's
correct?
correct, yeah.
Okay. So we've got that connection to what this is. And did you know all of that piece before the dreams?
Um, I can't remember to be. Yeah, I think I did learn it along the way, or did I not? No, sorry, the dreams came first. I learnt it
The dreams
afterwards.
came first.
Yeah, I worked
Okay.
out afterwards about Auschwitz, and then when I spoke to Sean about it, he then confirmed that his grandmother, um, she knew people had been to Auschwitz.
Mhm.
Grandmother was a friend of the person who painted it, and later on, Sean told me that a cousin came forward later on, and and he confirmed it was Auschwitz. To be honest, William, I didn't say it was Auschwitz. I said it was Bergen-Belsen,
Okay.
but
Right.
Bergen-Belsen was a detention camp for Auschwitz.
Right.
So he could have been there first.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Very good. I just wanted to make sure our watchers have an idea of what's going on. And now, Stephen, you've been working with John and with the painting for quite a while and have been part of this journey. And you've come up with some really interesting, I think actually quite fascinating and potentially exciting ideas in the last couple of days.
Yes, I was listening to a very similar interview last night with a link on there. What is we sort of we don't talk all the time, do we, John? But when John puts anything on about the anguished man, it's sort of a sort of 75% concerned because this thing does take a obsession, and sort of there's warning signs and flags that this thing inside the painting is trying to take over John. I've seen this happen when he went under hypnosis with the painting inside the room, and Dave won't let him come out of the hypnosis. He's almost trying to hold him, and the guys who are very professional took you under. What was those names, guys? John, there was was in an altered location as it is,
Was
and
that
the cage, yes, and
Andy Mercer was one.
Yes, it's incredible, really. It was very professional, very controlled atmosphere. And they did get really quite concerned that this Dave character was holding on to him and he won't bring him back out. So my interest is like, this could be, I mean, it's almost, I mean, Matthew's talking to you today, John, it was like he's cost you marriage, didn't it, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, talking about bits, but I feel for John and what this thing can do and damage. And standing back from it every now and again, I come in to go, this is actually interesting. Instead of being, because it draws you in. All the people who go on the events get drawn in. They come every time you do an event, it goes, is Dave there? Will Dave be there? The picture. You're almost trying to, because it lives off people's energies, like you said. You take it out for one event, it's interesting. Take it out 2 on a run, it starts getting active. When it starts going out on 3 or 4 weeks at a time with 30 to 40, 50 people around it, it's loving it, and it's walking and talking and performing, isn't it, really, John?
Yeah.
It's quite a scary thing to be around. And I witnessed, apart from the temperature change in the centre and outwards, it was created its own heat within the centre coming out, and there was a few people around this painting. And I remember the first time I was in that room, we saw a green spark jump from the corner, and within using night vision cameras, and cameras were around the room watching it, you could actually see this spark jump. So you knew there was something going on with this painting. And over the years of John doing experiments and making it stronger and giving it an identity, and even demonic spirits who's actually quite frightened of it, really. When he went to the castle, they wasn't happy about it as well. The resident ghost, when you can get that out. And you actually they organised and banned you from taking it again for upsetting the resident ghost, which there was murderers and killers. These ghosts were. He goes, no, I don't work with that ghost anymore. It's a bit of a nightmare. And after looking at the pictures, I made a flight case, didn't I, for it?
That's right.
So it was getting damaged in corners, and so I made it a flight case. So it got quite personal with the measurements, and after looking at the pictures and using infrared and ultraviolet within the spectrums of light, I could see there's some kind of picture underneath the blue wash, and on the right hand side of the picture, it seems like it's an angel, retracted. And on the other side is the angel of death, or a demon on the other side of the shoulder, under a blue wash.
The original.
So it's very crudely drawn over the top, but I think the gentleman who did it sort of thought twice is a bit.
I believe this is it, right?
Sort of, yes, that's the one. That's it. It seemed to be encrypted a little bit, so I've drawn it crudely over the top. You get some idea. After last night listening to the John's interview again, I thought this is very interesting to the Bible status of reincarnation. There's another picture as well you can send where you live your life and you get reincarnated and you go to the death, and on the other side you go into the angel, which is reborn again in reincarnation. So this was last night even, so within that time of studying, and maybe what John is being witnessed by, this young lad being beaten up, and all these other dreams as well. It's almost like he's dreaming through the reincarnations he's painting. So other people have travelled with this picture, or this timeline of John being this same person and being reincarnated. So I think this man who painted this is obviously in Auschwitz and reflecting back on his life and what he's being witnessed by death around him. Maybe it's in the thought of what's my destiny, what's going to happen to me, who's going to be my offspring, my wife, my children, even what's going to become of my soul in this place. So when he left Auschwitz, I think he must have painted, or within dark times with death and destruction and or around him at the time, he's almost had like John did, had a dream of a boy or a person in the future. So John painted Dave painted, is a reincarnation person. And after seeing John last night in talking with a blue background in his house, which is there now, he's almost had a T-shirt on, which is almost skin-like. The white sort of cream T-shirt, pink T-shirt, and his posture, and he's looking around the room, and a snapshot, a couple of photos within the interview, and I thought, that's John, the person who painted the picture. As a foreseeing the person will be in the future, which is John, a reincarnation. So he's actually put it down in one of his, probably maybe one of his dreams, and maybe what John's having now is dreams of children being beaten up, and that's part of the journey of reincarnation. And this person actually put it down on paper, painted this, and he's almost got the clue behind the back. I mean, I saw those images probably 5-6 years ago, and maybe those images in the background have just come make sense to me now. That those images are, I think, the light of the Bible. It's actually in there as a picture. I think you can get that up as well. That the reincarnation from animals and beasts and stuff and such like. So I'm just going off now because this was only last night after. And I was saying, John, get out of bed, listen to me. And he goes, "Oh, just leave it till tomorrow." And I was like, and you got interested. So I'm quite excited about it for John, and I think this could be what it's all about, really. John is going part of this. This journey with this soul, and maybe the first person, which the guy who painted David, you call it, David, is still attached. So he wants to jump back where he used to. He thought maybe he's trying to get into John, with trying to change or trying to take over John in a way. It's probably a little bit sinister. Probably feels like he's cheated his life or cut short his life, or he committed suicide, didn't he?
Yeah.
Sure he did, yes. And the markings on the anguished man on his neck looks like his throat cut, and on the picture of John with the light, and I couldn't even shake that light off, it looked like he had the same markings on your neck, John, which I don't know if you can bring that up as well. The two pictures together. So I'm getting quite excited about it. It's quite good. John's quite cool about it, isn't he? This thing. Yeah, on his neck where it says Blackburn, and on his
bring the other one up too.
Yes, those markings on the interview wasn't leaving, and on the anguished man as well, he actually got the same markings.
Right.
There as well.
Mm-hmm.
Again, looking at John live, you've got a dark shadow on your chin again.
Yeah. And that's not, and
So
it's, lighting, it's lighting with the shirt and all the rest of it. It
matches up, doesn't it? It's getting you scratching it now again.
Yeah. But
no, it's not there.
Yeah. But the one that from last night shows even more in the same shape.
Yeah, I mean, if you said to John, you had that, open your eyes and open your mouth, and you got the same picture. It's exactly the same, So that's the sort of I am at a minute.
I think it's very interesting. One question that comes to mind first is, when the gentleman who painted the picture and then committed suicide, I have no idea when that happened. And John, were you born yet?
Right. So can you explain that again? Sorry.
Oh, well, for you to be the incarnation of this man, it would usually be that you would be born after he had passed.
Right.
And I don't know when he passed, when he committed suicide, and when you were born.
Right. In terms of the painting, the age of it. It didn't
Well,
really know.
the guy who painted the original man who painted the original English man with his blood, who had been in the concentration camps and then survived and then committed suicide.
Yeah, the original painting. Sean didn't know really how old it was. So one day, I actually sent some photographs to a lady who was an artist, and she knew a lot about canvases and the age of canvases, by the style of them. And she could only estimate by the style of the canvas that it was about 50 plus years old.
About how much?
About 50 plus years old. She couldn't put an
Okay.
exact date on it. But I think Sean had an idea of that. Going back a long time now, but I think Sean had an idea that it was about that age as well. So she
Okay.
kind of confirmed it.
But we
It's
don't
quite
know
interesting.
how long after he painted the painting that the man took his own life, do we?
No, I don't.
And so that's one of the things that we really need to find out to help further your hypothesis on this. Because now there are other things that could be going on with this too. I've been warning John about, wait a minute, David wants the body to be back into, and you need to be really careful about this. He's got two sides to him, and one of them isn't very nice, and it's very controlling and manipulative. And the other side is more the authentic, genuine person. And we haven't done any work for a long time, so I don't remember everything I've said. But it makes me wonder how much of this is he seeing somebody who looks a lot like him that he is then trying to connect with that way. Is it, and these are just questions I'm
Yeah,
not
I'm
thinking from
starting to
answers,
feel.
and these aren't mediumship questions. These are, so much as they are, a bit of the historian in me, degree in me, and a few other things. But could it be that there was some soul bond between the two of you in that earlier life at some point? I don't know your past life history, John. I wonder if you could be part of the same soul group a little bit. I mean, there are a lot of different things that can work with this concept of a reincarnation of this man,
Yeah.
even
And after
if it's
committing
not the
suicide,
direct reincarnation. Pardon me?
and being in a dark place and committing suicide, he's forfeited his basically probably forfeited his reincarnation. Getting old and then moving on and having a choice. So that's probably why
Oh,
he's a bit anxious and angry, and he wants to jump back into John, and because he's obviously seen him as a in the future as the said person painted. Like John's having dreams about the young boy. I mean, you saw that young boy being beaten up. Could you draw him? Could you paint him? I mean, it's exactly the same sort of thing.
yeah. Although I've done a lot of work with people who have committed suicide in the past, and there is no punishment, there is no judgment. They were born into the world they needed to be born into to learn the life lessons they learned.
Hmm.
And part of that included the way they exited the world, and that also included the people around them, because that's how we're all born into these. We choose a situation that's going to teach us and help our soul to continue growing, is my understanding and experience from all the work I've done as a medium, and with quite a bit of work with metaphysics and such. And so suicide would not have shortened or stopped his progression along those lines, in my experience.
Sounds
Not everybody agrees with me, and that's okay. But I throw out the theology dogma that doesn't have anything that never shows me what it's based on, having any actual fact other than thought. So, yeah. So I think there are a lot of possibilities with this.
Do you know what I find really interesting is, like I said at the beginning of the interview, really, is that Sean sent me the email and he sent it to the wrong person. Very difficult to send somebody an email, isn't it, to the wrong person? I'm not saying that Sean purposely did it, because Sean tells the truth and is a really nice guy.
Yeah.
But it's just strange that he got to the right person.
Yeah. And that's kind of the universe working sometimes, or the beings working. Like some of the problem we had with you showing the photo earlier, Stephen.
Oh yes, he shut me down.
Well, yeah. And that happens on different projects online every once in a while.
Yes.
I find
Normally I have a spirit person in my house actually butts into the conversations, and people go, "Who's that with you?" On the early days, there was a guy called Arthur, and that was an interesting guy. And he's moved on now because he used to live at 2-3 houses away, and he jumped over the road just to be here because his family saw him appear in the kitchen, and the children got frightened, and he basically ran, and he must have come here because, you know, sometimes places like Beacons, you know, deal with a lot of this sort of thing, and he stayed with me for about 4 years helping other spirits to move on. So he's almost a live spine like what we're doing now. And he used to go and talk to the spirits in that particular building and help them to move on or get questions. And he used to hear and talk through the speakers. And he had a speech impediment as well, a cleft lip, so he knew it was this guy called Arthur. And the lady across the road, he says, "Are you this paranormal?" I says, "Yes." He goes, "Well, you know, she told me a story about her dad, and the children saw him in the kitchen as like a spirit, and scared the children, so he left. He didn't want to upset the children, grandchildren." And I says, it's not Arthur, is it? And she went, "How do you know? How do you know this?" I said, "Well, he's at my house." And she goes, "Well, we're moving house. I don't want to stay behind." And then I said, "Arthur, you need to go. Your daughter wants you, and the children are okay with it." And then he went. So it's a beautiful thing, really, in the afterworld. That's just one of many.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's
actually, he was like, he was quite a good guy. He did the right thing, and he was helping the people.
Yeah.
Even he helped to get a medal, a Second World War medal, which I found in the loft. Which is a lot of things was happening, like coincidences, for me to find it and do some research to find the original owners of the person who had it here. He passed away, Terry did, and it must have split a bag open upstairs in the loft, and then I found it under the lagging, and eventually I got EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, of spirits coming through and say that's my son's medal, and have to get it names and first names and second names, because the name on the medal came to a dead end. So I wanted to know where the medal came from. And this is only like 18 months ago. I've approached a person and say, "This is very strange, but do you know this person?" And she goes, "Yes, I know them. They're part of my cousins. They changed the name, so that's why I couldn't connect to their family." And I says, "Well, I think I've got their medal here." So I took a photograph, gave it to her, and then she got back to me and says, "Yes, that's my grandma's brother. There was two brothers and a sister, and they all had a medal each. Both of the medals are together, apart from this last one, which is a 1914 medal. And then the name was perfect as well from the EVPs. And then they sent me a letter back, an envelope thanking me that all the medals are together. And this is through my communication with the spirit and spirits helping.
That's beautiful.
And I put this medal on the sideboard here for 10 years with a copy on Remembrance Day. And I thought, I'm going to get you back, and I'm going to find out where you come from. And then I've missed it this year, actually, because I haven't had it out. his back and it's in a frame. And what about this guy? I got his name, it's so rude of me. And I've been looking for the letter as well. Again, that's gone. It was in my man drawer, and now it's disappeared. And the family sent me a letter back thanking me so much about it, and they sent me a clipping of him, this man, what he did in the First and Second World War. He looked after the war horses. So he looked after the horses, groomed them, looked after them, and then he survived all the wars and came back, and then came back to where I'm from, Swaddlingcote, and worked back in the mines again, using pit ponies in the mines. So he's always had a connection with horses and working horses. And then he had such a legend, this guy was. And there was a piece of the newspaper about him when he died, and he lived to a good, was it 89 years old, he did. And all his family was around him, and that letter got back to the family. And I myself, because I can't find that letter. It was a really... So anyway, I digress. But Dave's a demon.
Yeah.
These nights goes on his day.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, I like that. So what do you think, John, about all this?
It's interesting. I'm always trying to find out more. I'm always trying to find out a reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
My main thing that I always wanted to do, which I achieved about a couple of years ago, but not to its full potential. I connected a germanium receptor, which is like a form of a spirit box, if you like. And it's got a speaker on the front. It's got germanium, which is a semiconductor, and it's got a copper conductor on top. And I connected that to the painting at Chillingham Castle. And there was myself there, and there were quite a few others, and in particular, me and a lady called Karen Ford, who were asking David, the painting of David, questions, and it was on his easel. And we asked him to move the painting, and I was telling Steve today I could have kicked myself because I didn't notice that the carpet was stuck on the easel. So anyway, I asked Karen if she could put her voice recorder next to the speaker of the germanium receptor, and we asked David if he could move it. And the painting was shaking, but he wasn't moving it round how I wanted him to move it. And then when we played back the voice recorder, you could hear me and Karen saying, "Come on, David, move the painting, move the painting." And then, very, very clear, you could hear a voice, which was nobody in the room, saying, "I'm really trying." But he couldn't do it because the carpet was stopping him.
Right.
And I could kick myself. So what I wanted to do at one point was to have a physical conversation with spirit, like a proper conversation with spirit of David via this germanium receptor, which I have not achieved yet until that point. So, until that point of 2 years ago, but it was only just that comment of, I'm really trying, but I wanted a proper conversation. This is what I was after.
Right.
So I'm always looking for new ideas, new ways of working with the painting. And Steve's interesting idea kind of picked my ears up, and I thought, you know what, he might have a point there, really.
Would you try hypnosis again?
Yeah. I'm open to that, yeah.
You can wire up to some coppers and run some electricity through you. It'd be quite interesting.
Yeah. The only person that I know is Andy Mercer, who's brilliant. I used to work with Andy years ago, and he's an amazing guy.
Yeah, that'd be quite interesting.
I could always ask Andy Mercer, I suppose. We could give that a shot. But also, I think you're right about, you saying about my dream of the young boy being beat up in the arena. I've never thought about drawing that, to be honest. Maybe that's something that I should do. But I'm a better sketcher than I am a painter, as you can tell on the painting of David. So maybe I should sketch that out.
How many times have you had this dream? Is it a recurring dream or just one time?
It was one time, but it was so powerful that I can remember every detail of it. It was like I was there. You know, it was that vivid.
Interesting.
Wow.
Do you think sorry.
There was another dream as well, which was so vivid. I used to keep the painting in that box that you made, Steve, and used to keep it at the far end of the home in this like a conservatory part. And I was in bed, which was like 3 rooms apart. You know, the bedroom and then 2 other rooms. And then I was dreaming, and I could see the painting on the easel, which it wasn't. It was on the easel in the room that it was. And then it was like it kind of moved forward then into the next room, and then forward then into the bedroom, and it was right next to my bed. And this was in the dream, and that was like I was awake. The dream was so real.
Wow.
And they were really powerful dreams. And Sean had powerful dreams as well. He had strange dreams.
Yeah.
That was quite interesting when the Ouija board was being used, and David wanted to work with you again. So he's using other people to communicate through different forms, isn't he? He's still trying to get to you.
Yeah.
How did you transfer the soul into the other picture?
It's the same way, actually, as I did with the germanium receptor. I attached the spirit board to the painting via wires. Well, actually, it was a copper table that I made. It had a copper base. Put the spirit board on it, and then the copper base had 2 terminals that went to the painting. And Michael Postlethwaite was there that night, and he filmed it, and we could just see the transformation of. Well, when I say we could see, you can just see the easel of the painting moving, just as we asked David to transfer from the spirit board to the painting.
Yeah. Did you think of that idea yourself, or was it came in a dream, or you thought that's sort of scientific?
No, I just thought it felt through.
It's the copper, isn't it? Copper's a big part.
Everything revolves around copper, doesn't it? You know, in terms of what we do in the paranormal. There's a lot of copper involved when you think about it. You know, conductive material.
Well, it's such a good transmitter of electricity. So
I've read today that a lot of Chinese and Oriental paintings, sort of personal family photos or places of worship, they use sometimes they've actually known to use blood as well, and copper. You know, the copper slip people use in the engineering. It's like an oil copper, and they usually mix that up in different types of paints and colourings, and they do use blood as well. Certain tribes of Chinese paintings. I've read that today as well, which is interesting. Yeah, very, very good. So what do you think is going to happen now with you in the painting? What's the next steps forward?
Go forward. I don't know. I've been thinking of. I don't think William will like this bit, but I was thinking of meditating with him.
I think that could be an interesting thing. Meditation doesn't have to open you up to letting things in. And you might want to have somebody around you that can help spiritually protect that.
I've also thought of meditating with myself wired up to the painting as well. I thought of all sorts of different ideas.
Yeah, but remember how much trouble you had with professional hypnosis getting him out. I'm not sure that how to say this nicely live on the air. I think it would behoove you to rethink that idea. And for those of you at home, definitely do not try this on your own. John has not only years of experience with the painting, but also with mediumship, meditation, all kinds of things, and I'm warning him against doing it. So enjoy the show. Don't repeat some of the experiments.
Oh,
That's the first time. Leave it to John. That's the first time I've ever had to say that on a show.
a disclaimer at the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Do not do anything what you've seen on TV, children. On this.
And the adults especially.
John's a professional. I mean, John, you must have done it for 40 years, I know of, from the early circles of spiritualism to doing the lecterns to doing your time. You're not just, civilian, you've done your time, you've trained, you've got the scars and bruises to prove it,
Right.
You can't just go in with David. David would destroy a civilian, I've seen. You laugh. I've seen the damage it can do. I mean, they lift up a 150-pound oak table and throw it to the floor because it was annoyed.
That was in Chillingham Castle, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I bet the castle didn't like that.
Well, it weren't a table, actually. It was a bench, but it was a heavy bench. It was made out of oak.
Yeah, but still, the concept of damaging old antiques, David needs to get his anger under control and focus it on things that aren't so expensive.
It wasn't antique, actually. It was just something there for people to sit on, but it was pretty.
Okay.
Pretty heavy.
Well, that makes a difference then.
Yeah, very good. Sorry about that, David.
5 people screaming for their lives, trying to get out the door at the same time.
I always remember on that night, I had to calm everybody down at the end of it because it was all shaking. It was quite an interesting night.
You laugh now. Oh, those days.
Yeah.
But I remember you under hypnosis, and that wasn't funny. There was people quite panicking. There was get the painting out first, and then it was like, the people saying, I'm not touching that picture. Just get it out, so Dave and John can come back out of it. And there was 2 blokes, slapping and across your face and all sorts.
I can't even remember that.
I know, we let you drive home as well after that.
Is there video of that? If there is, show it to him so he can get a reminder.
It went live, didn't it? It went live.
It did, yeah. We did it live, and I was raising money for BLESMA, which is the British Limbless Sex Servicemen's Association, and the streaming that we did, it crashed a couple of times because there's that many people who joined it.
Oh, good. But if there's some way of recovering the live video or something, I think it would behoove you to look at that before you start delving into some, shall we say, interesting.
I don't think it was videoed, was it, Steve?
Sorry?
I don't think it was videoed, was it?
But it must have been live, and you usually go to people, when people keep it. I don't know what, one of your old files or old Facebooks, there might be something there as the history. So if you get the date, you can just scroll back to the Facebook date, because it comes up as like memories, don't they? So there might be. I do have a couple of memories come up of, because the cage in the other side of London wasn't the calm place as it is. It was used for witchcraft, wasn't it? They actually locked up witches in there for execution because it wasn't the greatest of places. That didn't help.
No, that wouldn't help.
So it was a building like a sheriff's or like a police station, and they kept these witches in this cage inside the room for people for them to be executed. I'm sure, yeah, and they actually not long ago found a pit underneath the front room. We never noticed that, did we? But there's actually a pit under the floorboards.
She dig down a pit. Yeah, I can't remember what she found, but she dug down a big pit and put some glass over it. The lady who owned it. I can't remember her name though.
I think she's trying to sell it, but nobody wanted to buy it. I wouldn't buy it. It was quite an active place. It was spirit children was running around the building as well, and then he got Dave in there to stir it all up. It was we laughed.
Oh. Yeah, that sounds like a 3 ounce of Scotch a night, not a 1 or 2 ounce.
Gosh. So yeah, when you think about doing this, I wouldn't mind be a witness or have medical team on standby, John.
You mean with Andy Mercer? If I approach Andy Mercer about it, you mean the hypnosis? You mean?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll have a chat with Andy Mercer on Facebook and see if he's up to it.
Just for a giggle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely don't try this at home, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
No, John's a professional.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
It takes a few risks.
Who dares wins? That's what I say.
Pardon me?
Too old up place.
Yeah.
The famous motto: "Who dares wins."
Yeah.
Yeah. Started. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, this has been brilliant. Do you have any more that you want to add to this? Keep going, or are we at a good place to close?
Yeah, a good place to close, I think.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. Happy.
And ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh no, I've interrupted you. I didn't mean to. What were you saying?
No, it's a bit of a feedback, as we know, sort of a delay as well.
Okay. I think we will update you when new things are happening. Sorry we didn't have any advance notice of this. John sent me a message last night about chatting, the three of us, and today, and then he sent me a message today saying, how about doing this live? And I think that was about an hour and a half or so before, or an hour before the three of us got online together. So no time for advance on this, but I'm glad it worked out. And Stephen, it's been great to meet you, and John, always to see you. So
you too.
Take care of everybody in the audience, and we'll be back to our regular schedule soon too. Good night, all.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.